Hello there. This is Joe Wayne with the AntiCoIntelPro show, and this is going to be one of the most important videos that you ever watch, okay? Anybody who watches this, and I'm talking to you, anybody who watches this, you need to make sure this goes viral. You need to make sure that everyone who has a concern of the forced invasion and who's actually responsible and the actual end game, I don't think that you really have a clue, okay? Here's what's really going on. And first, I need to familiarize you folks with a group called ALEC. That's the anagram, ALEC, and that stands for American Legislative Exchange Council. And this group is the counterpart. This is the American counterpart to Bilderberger, okay? If you're concerned about our federal, our American political leaders, you know, on the federal level, even on the state and local level, if you're concerned about these people being involved with Bilderberger, and if you're actually concerned with policy being constructed in the hands of corporate and public sector scumbags, you know, of the lowest order, then you need to be concerned about ALEC, okay? Because they are the American wing of Bilderberger, okay? And it's just a corporate public merger is what it is, okay? So that's what ALEC is. And ALEC has in its membership approximately, which there are probably a good deal more. These are the ones that we actually know about that will admit it. There's approximately 7,500, so that's 7,500 of our American lawmakers, okay, on the right and the left and the so-called middle, okay. They're all working for this group in private to push forward this group's agenda, not the American people's agenda, okay? Moving on. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to be firing these info bomb salvos off pretty rapidly, so I want you guys to try to keep up because there will be a test later. You know, let's hope so. And the test is going to be whether or not we survive as a country or not. So what happened? What happened in 2010 after the shellacking that Barack Hussein Obama received by the wave of the original Tea Party candidates that swept into office in the historic elections of 2012? And there were so many landslide elections, they couldn't keep the libertarians out, okay? And that's what happens. They can't hack any election that is a 7 to a 10 point victory margin. They can't hack that. They can't steal that, okay? So here what happened. After the 2010 shellacking Obama received, you had the Koch brothers, with the help of Dick Armey, come in and usurp the original, the real Tea Party members. That's why everyone was scratching their heads, as I was, trying to figure out what the hell happened to all of those libertarian candidates that we put in office to get Obama out of office. Well, what happened was they were usurped by the Koch brothers and Koch Industries and all their subsidiaries and all of their political cronies, you know, on both sides of the aisle, because they don't only give to Republicans, which is a big misnomer. That's just a distraction. They give to Democrats as well. They give to both sides. And what happened? Okay, in 2010, the Koch brothers, which are not conservative, I always tell you folks, you think you're conservative? You may be, but they're not, okay? They're not conservative. They're not traditional. They're corporatists. They're fascist, authoritarian corporatists, okay? So here's what's going on. Mr. George Soros, and this is after 2010, and this is why we're seeing all of this legalization push this summer. I'm here in Texas, okay? And I have a group called, a Facebook group called Texans for Compassionate Care. Okay, I had the Marijuana Policy Project send me an email and try to basically steal my name for my group. Okay, I stood my ground. I tell them no way, no how. I'm a capitalist. Okay, if you want the name, I'll sell it to you. Okay, they didn't want to let loose of any of Soros's money from the because I think they received around $5 million or so from George Soros, and this was just at one time. They probably have received more since then. But the Marijuana Policy Project receives a buttload of money from Soros, and they're greedy. They're not going to let loose of any of it. And I'm a capitalist, and I'm not going to give anything away. Okay, if you want something from me, unless you're a family member, you can either ask nicely, which they did not do, or you can buy it because I'm a capitalist. Moving on. I'm actually a libertarian, but financially, I'm a capitalist, okay? At any rate, so what happened is you have this group that the Koch brothers run, ALEC, okay? The Koch brothers run this group, okay? They just like Soros on the left, they spread their money around and their influence around to both sides and the middle, okay? They spread it around to every sector so no one can say no to their demands, okay? So, what happened? You had the, and I've got to give Michael Savage, okay? I've got to give Michael Savage, Mr. Michael Savage, move the ball on this discussion to the point to where I started investigating it even further, even more than he did, okay? So kudos to Mr. Michael Savage for his awareness to know to follow the money, which he did to a successful conclusion. At any rate, 2006 or 7, whenever the marijuana laws started, the medical marijuana laws, and then subsequently the legalization laws here last year, and that's why this push is so hard. Okay, it's because the complete legalization for recreational purposes that Colorado and Washington State and now Oregon are undertaking, and other people are undertaking. Okay, because they know it's the right thing to do. Pharmaceuticals are poison. I have muscular dystrophy. There's no pharmaceutical that does anything for me but poisons me, okay, and makes my condition worse, okay? So that's why I am pro marijuana legalization, because it's a lot safer than even a 12-ounce beer, okay? At any rate, so you started seeing the legalization, and what happened, because we have so many low-level drug offenders in our jails, for victimless crimes, okay? In common law, there's not a crime unless an individual is hurt, okay? That is the basis of all of our laws. That's the basis of the Magna Carta, which is the basis for all the law globally now. And, that's just the way it is. And common law was the basis for that. And in common law, unless you physically hurt somebody, there are no damages. Unless you take some money and damage them in that way, unless you steal their money, or hurt them physically, or do something to their person that damages them, there is no crime. Moving on. The drug legalization swept the land. And what happened, and that is, you can thank Soros for that. I don't thank Soros for very much at all. I am completely against his globalist agenda, his manipulating countries to go into war for his benefit, okay? His financial benefit. Okay, so I don't agree with him on just about everything. But I do give credit where credit is due. George Soros, given all this money, and he's been given money for legalization for a long time, because for whatever reason. Okay, our jails started emptying out whenever we started passing the laws for medical marijuana and subsequently legalization, outright recreational use and legalization of marijuana. Okay, so what happens? Our prisons are emptying out. Okay, and you got to remember, prisons are emptying out of low-level drug offenders. Well, the three biggest private prisons. And all of these legislators, I'm talking about people like Mitch Daniels, Bobby Jindal, people like Rick Perry in my state of Texas, my recently great state of Texas. They have all moved towards privatizing their prisons, okay? And the reason they have done this is because the three biggest prison companies, and that is CCA, that is MTA, and that is GEO. And if you recognize the name GEO, they were on TV Thursday bragging about their new facility for the illegals, okay? So what has happened is the corporatists that, and CCA, MTA, and GEO, they are on the corporate side of the board members of ALEC, okay? And then you have all of the governors, state governors, and even local mayors and council members that are on the ALEC board, okay? It is the sister or the brother or the redheaded stepchild of Bilderberger, okay? And these are all corporatists. So what they have pushed by their bosses, the Koch brothers and Koch Industries, which they own a lot of refineries here in Texas and the Houston area where I'm at. So they have pushed forward this invasion, and for no other reason to repopulate their private prisons. That's why they are selling out Americans. Okay? And all you Americans, and if you will, and there are going to be links and videos and all sorts of documentation associated with this video when I'm done with it, okay? If you remember, if you've seen the stories the last 2 or 3 days about Carnes, Texas, okay? That was a prison facility that they know is going to be emptied out, or is already emptied out, because they know whether or not they are, doing this in response to Mr. George Soros's legalization effort and all of his millions going towards that, whether they're doing this in response to this or they're doing this in conjunction with his efforts, okay? And if you're American, I mean, yay on one hand, they are going to legalize marijuana. Yay for me, because that's the only medicine that will actually work on my condition, and I suffer severely daily, and I refuse to take a pharmaceutical. Refuse, okay? They are pushing the legalization, emptying out our prison on one hand, which is the left. Thanks, George Soros. I appreciate that. I appreciate all your efforts, man. Really hate you, but I appreciate when you do something that benefits me, as do the other Americans. But on the other hand, they are using their marketing stations, and Fox News and CNN, MSNBC. They are all nothing more than paid advertisers for the globalist and for ALEC, specifically here in America, okay? They're working because the Koch brothers, Koch Industries, gives everybody money, okay? They pay for crap loads of ad time for their, and in 2010, the group that they use is called Americans for Prosperity, okay? They use these names that are complete lies, complete misnomers that mean the actual opposite of what they tell you they mean, okay? It's not Americans for Prosperity. It's corporatist and public sector cronies for profit, okay? It's not Americans for Prosperity. It's Americans for profit. And these are Americans that are bought and paid for by the Koch brothers, okay? And George Soros is just as bad on the left. So that's what's going on. Follow the money. Follow ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. Follow the legalization efforts. They're emptying out our prisons. And then the Koch brothers and Koch Industries and ALEC are enticing the illegal aliens to here with their marketing campaign. And don't fool yourself, folks. Whenever you hear stories about, these conservatives and even Democrats that are, looking to keep their seats, right? Whenever you see their hand wringing, and John Boehner, a member of ALEC, okay? John Boehner, the reason he's for amnesty is because the Koch brothers told him to be for amnesty, okay? Mr. ex-whip leader, Eric Cantor, the guy who's having to retire because he got his ass handed to him by a true libertarian, because of this very issue, because he sold out Americans, and he was getting ready to sell out the rest of Americans completely with his push for amnesty, along with John Boehner and along with Paul Ryan and along with all these corporatist, globalist assholes that work for the Koch brothers, okay? And the ones on the left, they work for George Soros. George Soros basically owns Media Matters, okay? So what you have is you have a global, or let's say, yeah, I'll say global, because there's a lot of bullshit going on in Ukraine because of all this, because they're looking to not go into war with Russia or China. Of course not. They're not fools. They're not suicidal, okay? They're looking to distract people off of what's really going on. And what's really going on is the American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC, the Koch brothers and Koch Industries are forcing these illegals here because they are looking to repopulate their private prisons, okay? Which, for a lot of years, folks, for a lot of years, we've been talking and hearing about the FEMA camps. Well, those FEMA camps were never for us. They were never for us. They are advertising, and this is how insidious they are. They are advertising, they are marketing to a failed, just corrupt people, and I use the term loosely because, folks, they're not like us. They really are not like us. They're animals, okay? And just like any animal, I have a cat that I fed, really sweet cat. But I fed him once, and he's been here ever since, a year later. Okay, so just like any other animal, they will go to the one who gives them or promises them the most freebies and the most handouts so that somebody can feed them, somebody can clothe them and house them. And what they're doing, folks, is they are signing up for their own imprisonment, okay? Whether or not you're, for illegal immigration, which of course I'm not, whether or not you're for, marijuana laws being rescinded, prohibition being rescinded, which I am for, you should not be for the human beings, and we're going to have to suffer through this repopulation of our private prisons, okay? Because the people in the middle are the Americans, and we're going to have to suffer through, until they, entice all of Mexico over here so that they can lock every one of them up, okay? Whenever they lock every one of them up, of course, by that time, America is going to be destroyed. They'll still have their money coming in, or this is what they think, okay? And all of this repopulation of our prisons, private prisons, to the Koch brothers and to CCA and MTA and GEO, is costing us Americans. We're the ones who are being forced to pay for our government marketing private prisons to Mexicans, okay? This has to stop. You have to get this video out to everyone. Okay, I'm talking to the person watching this video. You have to get this out to everyone. Open their eyes. If they don't want to open their eyes, and God damn it, you beat them over the head with this information until they're forced to see the truth, okay? You may be conservative. You shouldn't be. You may be liberal. You shouldn't be. All you should be is an American with a willingness to survive. And if you don't have that, then don't listen to me and don't send this. If you want to die a horrible death of a coward, and if you're a coward, you deserve to die. If you won't even fight for yourself, then you deserve the poison the pharmaceutical companies and the GMO companies are putting in your food and forcing down your throat. Okay? If you don't even give a shit enough about your own children's survival, you want to take care of these little animals, and they aren't animals. I don't care you can say whatever you want to about me, but I'm speaking truth here. They're not like us. They have the humanity beaten out of their submissive asses hundreds of years ago. Okay? So we need to save ourselves. We need to save our country. I love my country. I love my kids. I love my country. I want to keep it the way that it was. I don't want to keep it the way that it is. I want to go back to the way that it was. I don't want to keep it the way that it is. I want to go back to our republic, when our republic was founded, whenever we had a true liberty. You know what? I'm a libertarian. And whatever I decide I want to put in my body, unless I hurt somebody else, then that is my prerogative. Or it should be, okay? And that's what we need to get back to, is individual liberties and common sense. Until we get back to a position of strength and respect from the globe, because of the way that we act like adults who actually care for other human beings around the world. We don't have to take over the world. Back in the 50s, folks, back in the 50s, the United States of America produced 90% of what we needed to get along in the world, okay? 90%. Juxtapose that to today. We produce maybe 35% tops of what we need to get along in the world. The rest of the bullshit, genetically modified poisons are shipped in here to us. And American food, the good stuff, and our work product is shipped out, to the world and given to third world countries, and we are being decimated, and we're being forced to decimate ourselves. Okay, so let's uncock that 357, that the globalists are handing us. Let's either take the bullets out, or God damn it, let's point that freaking 357 back at them and blow their collective heads off politically. Okay. The time is now. You have been given the truth. What you do with it is up to you, folks. What you do with it is up to every single one of you. I have given you the information. I can tell you that I will die rather than submit. Okay? I will be preaching the truth until I don't have any air left in my lungs. Okay? Because I love my children. I love my country. I love my countrymen. Not Mexico's countrymen, not the globalist thugocracy's countrymen, okay? I love my countrymen more than that. So will you stand with me? Will you carry this banner and this message and this voice to every place that you can, so everyone knows the truth? Can you do that for me? Can you do that for yourself? This is Joe Wayne with the pissed off, worn out, underappreciated and overworked AntiCoIntelPro show. You folks have a good day.